How much money have you made from meme coins this cycle?
Unrealized over 15 million, but realized over 3 million at the moment.
If you had to start over, do you think by the end of the bull market you'd be able to run it back up?
Think about it. If money only comes after you, if you're the insider, you're the first one to buy it, how can you lose money? So I'll walk you through one of my thought processes.
Crash, thank you for making the time to do this. I've wanted to do this episode for a minute. I don't know, I hit you up a month or two ago. Basically, ever since I followed you, I've wanted to have you on the show because you've been one of the most successful meme coin traders this cycle, like hands down. You've had multiple 10, 20K bets that have all ran to 7-figure wins. How much money have you made from meme coins this cycle, if you had to put a number to it?
So unrealized over 15 million, but realized around over 3 million at the moment. But obviously, we're not even close to the peak of the cycle. And the entire meme coin sector is only like $59 billion market cap right now. And I think it's going to 500 billion to $1 trillion market cap. So, I think there's still so much upside.
You know what's amazing about that is I can agree with you there, and a lot of people listening can agree with you there, but I'm just picturing the random person that stumbles onto this video. They're new to crypto and they hear memes are worth 59 billion, but that's cheap. They could be worth $1 trillion. It is funny just how different it is for someone that lives this versus someone that's new.
Yeah, well, the total market cap for crypto is like 2.6 trillion right now. Memes are only 59 billion, so it's not even 10%, not even 5%, right, of the total market cap for the entire industry. So, I mean, last cycle, the popular bet and trade was the layer ones. So I think this cycle, the popular, coins are going to be the memes to a much greater scale. So just like, the layer ones became a very overcrowded trade, and there's just like they got diluted, and there's just like a million layer ones that launched. It's going to be the same thing with meme coins. But the cool thing about anything, right, layer ones or meme coins or AI, like majority of the money flows into the top winners, right? There's a stat that I like to always point out in meme coins, which is the top 5 meme coins make up for greater than 80% of that $59 billion market cap, right? So you take the top 5 memes, once again, they make up for greater than 80% of the market cap. So that means there's like 100,000 plus meme coins out there, probably 1 million plus at this point, which are fighting for like 20% of that market share. So I don't want to be in those 1 million plus meme coins fighting for just 20% of the money. I want to find things that can get into that top 5 or very close to that top 5, because those are the things that are going to suck up like 80% of that entire market share for the sector. So it's so important. I feel like with meme coins, also with layer ones, because think about it, Bitcoin and Ethereum, layer ones, they suck up like all the market share for layer ones. Same thing with meme coins. You're going to have those top ones that suck up like majority of the market share. And so a lot of people, they're going to play in what I'm calling the shallow side of the pool, in the pissy side of the pool with all the little dorks. Okay. And they're going to be fighting for crumbs. And I'm like, nah, I'm not here to fight for crumbs. I'm here to take over, as much of the freaking money flow as I can get, bring it to me. Cause I'm here positioned now before everyone, before all that normie money, before that money that comes with $100,000 Bitcoin, because obviously the hype and attention is going to be way greater than it is today. And so all that money that makes, that comes from those headlines and all that media coverage and that attention, that money is going to find its way into crypto. And then I got to find out, where's that money going to flow to? And I just want to position before that money gets here in the top meme assets, because the meme assets, they're going to get some percentage of money flow. And I think it's going to be the sector that performs the best, really, And so if I can just position myself in those top meme assets, which will suck up, greater than 80% of the market share, I'm going to, be the main beneficiary of all that money that floods into this sector, And so, I watched your interview with Zoo, and how he was on point with the layer one, trade at last bull run. So now, once again, I think meme coins are the layer one trade of this cycle. And so if you can just position, because think about last cycle, right? You had Solana, AVAX, Luna were like those main layer ones that people got
Oh yeah.
really rich on, I feel like, you know? So now I'm going and I'm getting into the Solana, AVAX, and Luna, but in meme coins for this cycle. You see what I'm saying?
Mhm.
So I think I'm in them. I think I got them. And now, you know, it's like, okay, let's say we're at $10 AVAX before it goes to 130, or we're in, you know, $8 Solana before it goes to 240. So that's where I think I am right now with my bets. And now I just got to let the money find its way to these bets.
I like that framing. It's every cycle does just have, it has a rhythm. It has a theme, whether it's DeFi, whether it's NFTs. Some people made their money with this, some people made their money with that. And meme coins, in a lot of ways, are no different, right? They get a lot of attention, and there's talking heads on CNBC making fun of it. And you have VCs trying to understand it. But at the end of the day, it's just another theme. It's the theme of this bull market, and you've definitely been right so far. Before we get into kind of what could happen next and how you're positioned, one way I want to explore like how you've been able to do what you've done so far, because I'm just personally curious. Meme coins are not my world. Like if I make money on a meme coin, I know it's a far greater chance that I just tailed someone that was way better at this than I am, or there's a much greater element of luck. Like my process really isn't there. I kind of want to go through like how you've been able to have some of these big wins, like starting with your first one, and also thinking about what you just laid out, right? You said as the cycle goes on, you want to find those the category leaders. You want to find the Solana of memes. You want to find the avalanche of memes. If you had to start over from $0 right now in the current bull market, do you think by the end of the bull market you'd be able to run it back up, or has that opportunity kind of passed?
No, I definitely think I could. But also the question then should be asked, would I start with my following or would I start with 0 followers, right?
Yeah,
Because that's also a main difference too, for sure.
sure.
You have different, uh, you have different pool of like who you can access, who can you tap into to get things done. And a lot of people, they like to complain about insiders and meme coins, right? Well, here's the cool thing about meme coins. Anybody can become an insider in like 2 hours. Go fucking start your own coin. Congratulations, you're the insider now and you're the first one to buy it. So now everyone who comes after you, you're in profit. So that's the whole thing. Like, when people want to complain about insiders in this game, you can't really complain about it because you yourself can become one at any second of the day. So whenever something is fair game, whenever something is equal opportunity to everyone, that's not something you can complain about. So in that case, I think there's a lot of opportunity. For example, let's be real here. If you create a coin, there's also a lot of risks, right? There's a
Mhm.
lot of extra cost. There's a lot of extra work and energy and effort that you would have to spend. So that's another thing that people should probably realize is like, a lot of times you would actually prefer not to be the creator. You'd actually rather just piggyback off of the successes too. So there's two sides of the coin that you can take. But I think if someone were to start from zero, one of the fastest ways that they could go from 0 to 100K would just be the insider. Start your own shit. And you know what? You may not be able to take it incredibly high. You may not be able to succeed incredibly well, but you'll be able to probably go from like 0 to something, you know? And that's without any really risk of losing. Because, well, think about it. If money only comes after you, if you're the insider, you're the first one to buy it, how can you lose money? So if someone was starting at 0, I would say in reality, in the current game, that is the fastest way to probably get your first bread in meme coins is you're just gonna have to probably start some shit yourself. And then, you know, it's gonna be hard to lose that way, right? And then you can, go from there and you can piggyback off of the main winners, or you can piggyback off what you believe are the ones with true staying power and that are gonna really take that 80% of the market share this cycle.
I'm curious then, how did you start? How did you build your bankroll? Like I know what your first big win was, but like how did you stumble across that? Did you also start your own coin before you found that first big win, or like just take me back? Because I think your origin story of where you started building this cult like following of 100,000 people that tune into everything you do now, and also led to some of your biggest wins. Like where did this all start? What was the
Okay,
first big
so
win?
my first uh big win, and I can't even say it was actually a big win. So I put in $100,000 into a coin called Monkeys. Okay, sounds stupid, sounds crazy, but
When was
this.
this?
So this was like a year ago, bro.
Okay.
That was the first meme coin I bought, really. Um, and so that was based off of Elon Musk's Twitter list. Like you can still go to his Twitter
I
profile
remember.
today and you
I remember.
can click on the list. Yeah, you seen
I
that?
remember. I
So
remember.
he's got a list. And anyways, I turned 100K into 3.2 million on paper, right? I bought up, bro, 8% of the supply for 100K. Okay, totally off of the free market, no OTC, no nothing, man. This was launched by what we called him the Chinese farmer Doki. He was just some like he supposedly he was like a 26-year-old Chinese guy who, rugged the project at the beginning. So anyways, he rugged it and I just kept buying. Then we had to migrate to a second contract. I kept buying. I kept buying. I was accumulating for like 2 months because like if you're buying a low market cap asset, like let's say a meme coin's at a 1 million market cap and you want to market buy 100K, well, price is going to move against you stupidly. Like you'll probably pump the thing from like 1 million to 3 million with a 100K buy.
Sure.
So you'll actually get way less of the supply. So anyways, I just kept buying, buying, buying over the course of 2 months. And then, yeah, I had accumulated a position and then it went viral on TikTok. It blew up in the bear market. It went from like 1 million to 40 million. And that's when I had that 3.2 million on paper. Thing is, I had it absolutely all on public docs wallets. So everyone knew exactly how much I had basically. And it created a situation where it's like, well, I don't want to sell anything because like then people are gonna be stocking my wallets and then they're gonna want to sell and then they're gonna shit on me possibly. So that's the thing about this game, um, is that especially if you got a public wallet, like everyone's tracking, like let's be real, like you can't be stupid, because you can, I guess this is speaking from my experience, right? In that month, so I put $100,000 into monkeys. That turned into 3.2 million on paper. I put around 10K into fuck Pepe, and that turned into over like 600K. And then I put 20K into Elon Musk's biggest dog, that was Gatsby, and that turned into around 500K. So I had round tripped over 3.5 million, $4 million on paper
You didn't sell any of
from
it.
no, I didn't sell any of it. It was all on public wallets and I just didn't want, to get shit. And so that was a very
Right.
painful time, I guess, because it was like I see all this profit and like I know I want to be taking some profit, but I also know that people are just stalking my ass. It's like, for the sake of everyone, it's like I don't want to sell and then another guy sells. It's just like it's a
Sure.
bullshit PvP low cap market. And so, anyways, that taught me a lesson. Don't put all your freaking eggs in a single public wallet that everyone tracks, because like that's the reality of the game.
Yep.
It's not smart. So, and that's the thing. You want to have some level of privacy. Obviously, I show my positions to the world, and I call them legacy positions, right? Like I'm showing you legit what I'm putting my money into, what I believe is going to do well, and obviously they are. But of course, have some level of privacy in this game for
Sure.
sure, and worry about yourself too, because that's the thing. You think when I round tripped over $4 million on paper, there, you think anyone gave a fuck about me? You think anyone cared? They don't care, but guess what? They do care if they see your wallet sell. So they basically shit on you if you sell, but they don't give a fuck about you when you round trip. And for that reason, man, I learned at that moment, you truly in this game, you know, you just got to do your best. You got to do what you believe is right. And you also got to take care of yourself and just try to succeed. And as long as you do that, like honestly, fuck what anyone thinks. Like, like look at this shit that I'm in. Like 500 million market cap, over 100 million market caps. Like these things are succeeding. They're doing really well. And I'm still able to take some profits. You know what I mean? So it's
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
little rant there about that. I'm not sure if that's gonna be relatable for people, but yeah, I mean, that's a pure example of me round tripping over $4 million on paper there, and that's like a mistake I made, right? And so if anyone can learn from that, obviously that's why I bring that up.
All right, quick break in the action before we get on to the rest of the show. A quick shout out to the show sponsor, Mantle Network, an Ethereum L2, which is backed by a $4 billion treasury. And the reason it's such an exciting L2 and why I wanted to partner with them is because they're offering the best rewards for users. Right now, if you're in crypto, you want a couple things. You want low transaction fees, you want to use the best apps, and you want to get rewards, right? People like to get airdrops. They want to use the most exciting apps and maybe get some tokens. All you need to do is visit the Mantle Reward Station. If you're watching on YouTube, the link is right down below. Check out Mantle today. Excited to partner with them. Let's get back into the show. That probably then snowballed into your first actual win that you're still in. When did the Brett play come along? Because this is one that it feels like gained you way more attention. It's something that you're still in today. It's one of the most successful memes this cycle. When did that come along?
Yeah, so Brett, how long has it been out now? For like, let's see, 83 days it looks like. So I originally I was in Toshi, which was the number one meme for a minute on base, and I was really bullish on it, and I believed it was going to billions, and I still do believe it's going to billions, or at least a billion, I would say. Um, and so I was just super bullish on base, and I had a thesis for base and how many new users would come over to this network, and you know, a user, for every user, there's an average amount of money that a user has. And so I'm like, well, base wants to onboard a billion users into the network, and I think that's a ridiculous target. So I'm like, well, they're probably going to onboard though 100 million or 200 million users to this network, and on average, I think they'll have about $100 a piece. You know, some guys will have 10,000, some will have 50,000, and some guys will have over $1 million on chain in their wallet. But I'm just like, let's go stupidly low number, like $100 per user. And so if we have 100 million users coming to this network at $100 a piece, right, that's like $10 billion of money flow. So I already know pretty much based on my numbers, I get that, you know, like $10 billion should be flowing into this network. So, okay, out of that $10 billion, obviously, I think a lot of that money will flow into the top memes, right? Multiple. So I started off with Toshi, and then I ran into Brett. And the thing about Brett is I had already, called, I got into Pepe, not the first run up. I got into it after it floored out and crashed. And then I had also gotten into Landwolf, which was on Avalanche, which was the red Pepe character, right? The red Matt Fury character on the red blockchain. And that basically ran from, 700K market cap to 26 million market cap in the bear market. Was incredible. So that was like over a 30x that I shared. And so I knew that, basically that was the red mascot on the red blockchain. I knew Brett being the blue mascot on the blue blockchain, right? And with there already being proof that, okay, Landwolf ran on AVAX, so Brett will run on base because the colors match, and we've already seen it do this on a different chain, basically, So I knew it was a no-brainer when I saw Brett on base that had to run to at least 26 million, like Landwolf did on AVAX. And of course, it did that and a whole lot more, and has now turned into the number one meme coin on base.
You're skipping over an interesting point where if someone doesn't follow you, they kind of don't understand how you did this, because this is what first got my attention. The way that you made this Brett investment and what gained you such a cult-like following, or at least propelled it, right? And what I found so impressive was you did all of this very publicly, and not in the sense of like traders all the time, they'll tweet out and they say, I'm bullish on this coin, I'm buying, right? And it's one tweet. Or they'll say, they'll talk about some coin over and over. I like this coin, I like this coin. With Brett, you made a YouTube video and said, I'm putting in X amount of money, 15 grand. I'm going to, make 50 million, whatever it is. I'm going to make these millions of dollars. This is what's going to happen. And like what, 80 days later, a couple months later, it's $1 billion coin. It's like, it's a crazy thing to do. Obviously, if you're wrong, you can just say, I was wrong. But the fact that it has played out and that you've continued to have such a high hit rate for these memes is kind of wild. Like, did you have a special feeling about Brett specifically versus all the other ones that made you do that?
So the thing about it, right, is I had already Wolf, right, had ran on AVAX. And I think AVAX is a far inferior chain to base in terms of potential. in terms of new users coming to it. So I was like, well, if Landwolf, the red mascot, went to 26 million, I'm like, the blue mascot on the blue chain, which is a much bigger blockchain, in my opinion, which is going to have way more users and
Yeah.
way more money flowing into the network. I'm like, minimum, okay, we're at 1.6 million. This has to hit like 26 million at least. But because it's a way better blockchain for this bull run, I think it can go on 100 million plus, for
Sure.
example, right? And so that was my thesis, and that's exactly what played out, right? It matched what Landwolf did, and then it went on to do way better than that. And I think we can attribute a lot of its blow up to being on base, the right blockchain at the right time, you know? So to me, I was just fully confident in that thesis, and that's kind of like, you know, a key point is having a thesis with the memes that you get into, because a lot of meme coins, as soon as there's a red candle or as soon as things like lose hype, most people, there's no reason to buy it anymore, right? Because a lot of times the number one reason to buy something is because it's green and going up. And people
Yeah.
think, well, because it's green and it's going up, it can go up more and I'll make money. But then as soon as there's a red candle, motherfuckers are like, damn, I don't want to touch that shit anymore. So you got to be able to separate, right? What are these just completely unsustainable narratives and Ponzi's, which as soon as there's a red candle, it's collapsing and no one wants to buy it? Or there are narratives where even when there's red candles, even when there's sell pressure, even when it pulls back, there's still reason to continue being bullish on it because of the narrative and other factors. And so that's a huge difference between meme coins. There's differences in the quality of narratives, and you know, you can go buy Donald Trump farted today Inu coin, or you could buy bread, right? And the thing about Donald Trump farted today is once there's a red candle, it's not funny anymore. You start to panic and think, holy shit, is this ever going to go back up again? And you get out. But with something that has a much more sound thesis and reasoning behind it, you know, it gives people a lot of confidence to continue buying that even if there's a dip. And so that is like the main thing with meme coins, is what has long-term speculated demand and what, you know, just falls apart at the first sign of red candles or hardship, you know.
If you don't mind, can you pull up the Brett chart? Because I kind of want to walk through this. It's a fascinating topic for me. I'm like, I totally agree with what you say, and I actually think that that concept is easier to understand for people. Like if you're trading layer ones or if you're trading Bitcoin, it's easier to separate. At least in my mind, it's easier to separate value versus what price is doing. So like price can come down, the value gets more attractive. You still want to buy. But with a meme coin, it's like I understand category leaders, but it's still so tough. Like watching someone like the bonk guy turn, 8K into $20 million, or watching you be able to turn, 15K into $5 or $6 million, $7 million from this. Yeah, I can see that.
Can you see my prediction here? Okay.
Yeah, yeah. I'm going to walk through this for people listening. You have the Brett chart open. And if we go like back to March, right? Like obviously we can see how this coin is played out now. And after the meme coin, the first half of this bull market, we've seen some of these coins go just parabolic. Like when you're buying back there, even if you have a sound thesis and you say, man, there's going to be a ton of users coming to base, this is a better narrative, better chain, this amount of money is going to come in, it should go to the top memes. Do you have like, I know you said you had some level picked out of like this should go to 100 million, but like how do you hold to 1 billion? Like it's a concept that's so foreign to me of being able to do that. Like how do you know you have the category leader?
Yeah, so the thing is, I know, right, that a number one meme coin on a blockchain, right, now that it's definitively solidified itself as that, I know a number one meme coin on a blockchain is going to be one of the most popular activities on a network, you know? So like last cycle, Ethereum hit 540 billion market cap, and guess what Shiba Inu hit, right? SHIB hit 40 billion market cap. And so in this case, you see that number one meme coin on Ethereum became around 7.4% the value of its actual blockchain. And then
Sure.
you saw the same thing happen with Dog with Hat and Solana. So when Solana hit 85 billion market cap, right, we saw Dog with Hat hit 5 billion market cap.
Yeah, 4 or 5.
And so once again, the ratio is that the number one meme coin on Solana became greater than 5% the value of the network. And so then whenever I'm sitting here and I just go through these numbers, right? Like there's no emotions involved. Like I'm just going off the facts, right? Nothing I've said here is incorrect. Hey, SHIB hit around 7.4% the value of its chain. Dog with Hat hit around 5.8% the value of its chain. And so then Once again, both of these became greater than 5% of their chain. So now I have full faith and confidence that Brett, being the number one meme coin on Base, is going to become greater than 5% the value of its chain, which is Base. And I'm super bullish on Base as a chain. And so if this chain is indeed bullish, if this chain does indeed get a lot of new users and money flow, some percentage of those users and that money is going to find its way to the number one meme coin on Base. It's going to be one of the most popular activities. People come to blockchains for what? Are they coming here to buy real estate on chain? Not yet, you know. Are they coming here to buy NFTs on Ethereum? Last cycle they
They used
were.
to.
On
Yeah.
Base, you know, the NFT trading activity is pretty low. Like one of the most popular activities will be buying the top memes, and Brett is that. So I believe Brett is entitled to a lot of the upside and growth in this blockchain. And the more bullish the blockchain, the more bullish that number one meme coin should be on that blockchain, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So I see it as a leverage bet on Base. And so if you just look at the charts, WIF outperformed Sol, Shiba Inu outperformed ETH. So what do I think is going to happen? I think Brett is going to outperform Base. It's going to be a leverage bet on the chain, you know? And
Yeah.
it makes sense because like think about SHIB, think about the LP. It's a lot thinner than ETH. And so whenever ETH goes up, right, and there's all this money flowing around, and then people want to go partake in the most popular activity, which is buying the number one meme, it takes not that much money, you know, to move the price of the number one meme to do more multiples than the actual blockchain itself, right? So if the blockchain's doing really well, the number one meme coin is going to do really well, and it's just going to do more multiples than the blockchain itself. So the key, in my opinion, here is the fact that we are so confident in Base being a really good blockchain this cycle in terms of getting users and new money. So once again, Brett has to be a leverage bet on that chain's growth. And
Right.
it's going
Right.
to be
Right.
one of the most popular activities. So yeah.
And also, quick shout out to Polkadot, who is sponsoring the show and making this possible. Go check them out because they are at the center of one of the most exciting trends happening in crypto right now: crypto gaming and bringing digital assets mainstream. Be ahead of the crowd because people are going to be talking about this as we move into the rest of the year. I'm going to keep bringing you guys the cool updates from Polkadot. But now let's get back into the show.
I think with your process there, and that's why I kind of wanted to walk through some of these examples, and I want to keep going through a couple more. I think it gives way more insight into like how you actually plan ahead versus when I saw the Bonk guy going viral earlier in the year. For anyone listening, if you're unfamiliar, this guy turned 8K into, I don't know, 20 million or $12 million when Bonk initially had its run in Q1 of this year. It just seemed like, I don't know if it's just the way that he tweets or if this is me just not understanding his process or he just didn't share it, but it seems like some meme coin traders, it's like some are calculated like you. They have this idea, you know, there's ratios picked out, you have a thesis, and then there's some where it feels like they just all in on something and they every day they just sit and pray and they just have some mental condition where they're able to withstand it. It's funny, like both of those can work, right? Like both of those different approaches can work. Be super calculated, have a target, have an idea, or just be totally like, just checked out. This is going to work.
I don't know his history like with other meme coins and what other bets he's made, you know.
It's impressive though.
I know for me though, you know, instead of spraying and praying, I like to, you know, I definitely like to move calculated and with
Right.
confidence that I'm gonna win. So that's just my approach. You can definitely spray and pray, right? But a lot of people will brag about hitting a 100x, but they actually lost like 99 trades in a row to hit that 100x, or
Sure.
you know, they just lost a bunch of trades, and like, you know, okay, that takes away from a lot of the gains possibly depending on how you executed. And you know, especially in this space, man, on Twitter, you get a couple trades wrong and everyone hates you. You know, they say you're only as good as your last fight. Well, man, on Twitter, I'm only as good as my last trade, so I ain't trying to lose.
When did you start gaining a lot? Like you had a following of people that followed you from some of those early trades, the monkeys trade that were tracking your wallet. Obviously, when this Brett trade starts doing well, you gain a following. Did it having a ton of people watching your every move, watching if you're selling, watching as you're talking about this, has that helped? Has that made it easier or has that made it way harder? I know some people kind of thrive in it and sometimes it can kind of like mess with you. How do you handle that?
Yeah. So in the past, I would say I hate it, but once again, I had that whole saga of round tripping over $4 million.
Right.
So I've learned from that past, and I just, you know, I just move how I need to move. I make smarter decisions due to my experience and the positions I've been put in. So I feel like I'm moving different. I feel like I'm really smart, and I know what to do and how to do things the best way for everyone. Not only make sure that I'm good, right? Despite all the pressure or expectations put on me, but just ultimately I'm creating winning situations. I'm helping, you know, like myself and others, right? And of course, there will be some guys who buy the top, in the cycle, like 30x higher or 40x higher or whatever. But I'm not worried about those people. Someone's got to lose, someone's got to win. And I believe today we're the winners. And, I'm not going to feel bad for a guy who buys at like 20 or $40 billion market cap when I was screaming at the top of my lungs here, like, at 2 million, 300 million, 800 million, 300, 500, like, it's like you'll get the price you deserve. And, you'll win if you deserve to win, and you'll lose if you deserve to lose. That's truly what I think. And, it may seem like blunt, it may seem weird, but, it's that's the truth. Like, if you deserve to win in this life, you're going to win.
So you're still holding, before we move on to any other trades, kind of like what you're looking at in the current market, things like that. You're still in this Brett position right now. Like what'd you put in initially? What was the all-time high of your unrealized profit? And like, what are you sitting at now?
Yeah, so I put in $15,000. Obviously, that's all recorded publicly in my
Yeah.
YouTube video. I mean, dude, I made a 36-minute YouTube video explaining why I thought this was going to blow up, and kind of my whole thought process for it. And so, 15K and at the moment 3.7 million, and we can't see the all-time high P&L on this wallet here,
Yeah.
but I remember it being around 6 to 6.4 million for this wallet here. So, yeah. I mean,
15K to 6. That's even to 15K to 3 million. Where you're sitting right now is just so insane for one trade.
here's the
Memecoin.
thing, right? So, and I find it hilarious when people say like, "Oh, Crash is desperate for exit liquidity." Brother, let's go to Kyber Swap right now, and I'll show you, if I was desperate for exit liquidity, like we could go sell the shit right now if we wanted to. And, it's like, let's be real. Like, let's see, how much money do you get out of a $3.7 million position, right? So,
Yeah, because
um,
that is a consideration that people have, right? And for anyone that's unfamiliar, some meme coins they run up. I think Joe Bowden actually was one that had super thin liquidity, almost all the way up, where you could have this $10 million, $5 million unrealized profit, but maybe there isn't even that much liquidity in the liquidity pool. It's not as big of a concern when the coin is this big, but I've seen some people on Twitter, they'll flex, I'm up $3 million. And you look at what would happen if they sold that. The chart would go to literally zero.
for sure.
It's funny.
So yeah, once again, if we broke it into halves, 1.8 million gets you 1.5 out. If you full stack sold, you go from 3.6 to about 2.4 million in a sell,
You
right?
take a hit, but it's still 15K into $2.3 million.
Right. But like I said, right, you break it into halves and you're getting out 1.5 for each sell. Because like once you dump that, people are going to buy the dip. And then the second half that you'll have will be worth more than that because people will buy that dip. And
Right.
then you can sell that second half. So really, we can easily pull out over 3 million here with ease.
I want to explore a little bit. So like just comparing before we move on to what you're looking at in the current market, how the rest of this bull market plays out, and what ideas you find interesting. I still think it's worth diving into. Like, right. So your first experience with the meme coins, you have these monkeys trades, you have a couple of these trades that you turn a small amount of money into $3 or $4 million on paper, and it comes all the way back. And now you're in a situation where you've just been crushing this bull market objectively, trading it very well, kind of nailing when things were going to pull back, having conviction to hold before things bounced. What do you think is the biggest difference of your strategy now in like the way you're managing your Brett play or your targets? Like, what's the biggest difference in how you're treating it versus back then? Because the reason I'm asking this is I know there's going to be some people where as the bull market kicks back up, let's say the ETH ETF gets approved, they're going to have a big win. They're going to have 100x. They're going to turn a 5K into 200K. They're going to turn 50K into $1 million. And you have to have like, they might be going through that idea of, am I going to round trip this or do I hold on to it? What's the biggest difference in your mentality or in your process from right now versus when you previously round tripped some of your plays?
Yeah, so I would say, I think it's cliche, right? They say experience is the best teacher. So once again, that experience of over 4 million, like that, like I was never going to get that experience taught to me that well unless I actually did that. And so that's a short-term big loss, or like, a hurtful, event, whatever. Okay. It's like you can kind of get sad or like be like, oh, boo hoo, I was up 4 million. I didn't take any profit. And then like a lot of people just get down and like, that's it. It's like, bro, there's going to be more trades. There's going to be more plays. So if you round trip, just get better from that and then move on. And so the reality is, we can tell people here not to round trip. We can tell them, hey, man, take profits on the way up, blah, 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 blah. But the reality is, unless you actually go through it, you're not going to understand either the pain or what that feels like, or like, just the actual experience for real. It's going to
Yeah.
be like reading about it, but not actually doing it. You can read a book about how to fucking approach a girl. It doesn't mean you're going to be good at approaching a girl. So that's the same thing with round tripping. And so, I like to say the more you lose, the better you get at not losing, right? I've had the painful experiences. I've had how many times I made like, especially early on, I'll make like 100K, 150K, 200K, and I lose it all the next day, bro, because I'm sitting there. I'm like, well, I'm going to turn this 200K profit. I'm going to flip that into a mil tomorrow.
Right.
I'm him, and then you lose it. And it's like, look, those experiences of losing your money, it makes you better, because why? You can start to feel the pattern of what it's like to lose. And then when you feel it,
Yeah.
avoid that feeling. You can avoid the pattern and the sequence that leads you into making those losses. So it's okay to lose and lose and lose, because once again, you're going to get better at not losing by actually losing. So
Right.
like, just accept the losses and then move on, and you'll fucking, that experience, it racks up, and it's incredible, because like I've had some very unique experiences now in meme coins that I can confidently say 99.9999, very few, people in the world have in meme coins the same experiences that I've had, and so you just got to keep going, man. I don't know.
One of the things that I've also found really impressive about your run this cycle is when you look at some traders, you look at some investors. I'll use a venture capital fund as an example. Sometimes someone's really good at picking, let's say they're good at picking ideas early. They're good at early stage bets, right? In your case, it might be you can find a big idea that's going to be bigger. You're very good at that. But what often happens is if someone's good at that, if they're a good investor, they're not going to be a good trader. And one of the things I found really interesting about when I was kind of preparing for this and tracking what you've been doing, you're like super tuned in with what's happening in the broader crypto market, like macro wise, when alts are going to pull back, when ETH is going to bounce, and how that affects all the other altcoins. How have, like, how much do you think that matters for meme coins? And do you think people should be paying attention to that? Or should it just be, look, guys, the bull market's going to last another 6 months or a year. Stay long your meme coins. Don't try to time them. Like, how much do you think people should be trading these versus make your bet and let it run?
Dude, it's so important, in my opinion, to have an overall understanding of charts and the entire market outside of meme coins. And so, like, look at this chart, for example. Like, I've been telling everyone about this for a while now, right? And so I've been telling everyone it doesn't matter what price Bitcoin gets to, 150K, 500K, or a million. Basically, when tethered dominance, right, gets closer to these support levels, that's when you want to start scaling out and taking profits in the market. Because why? Well, because these are long-term support levels that price is incredibly likely to bounce from. And if tethered dominance bounces, right, that means more money is going into stable coins and into tether. And so inversely, that means that Bitcoin is going to be pulling back or dropping once, we bounce from these levels, right? And so I think you cannot go wrong. The closer you get to these levels, the more profits you want to be locking in, because basically, right, and this is the logic that a lot of people lack. So let's say, right, these uptrends, they only last so long, and downtrends only last so long, right? Like a bear market's not going to last forever. A bull market's not going to last forever. So the longer it's lasted and then going into a key level, that's a really great time to be switching your position, you know? For example, what I mean by that. So let's say tether dominance has been in a downtrend so far now for 714 days since the top of that. So if we get all the way down to here, closer to my levels in like 1,169 days,
Another
think about
year.
that.
Basically another
That's a
year, right?
long downtrend. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a long ass downtrend, right? And so instead of something that's been going down for a long time, I'm not going to bet on it to just continue going down if it's coming into a long-term support level. So by the time and this is how I think the cycle is going to play out, and this is how I plan to execute, is the closer we get to these levels, the more I start to lock in gains. And why? Because the bulk of the downtrend and the bulk of the move in tether dominance would have taken place. And the key factor is the amount of time of that downtrend. It's not going to last forever. And so then guess what? Market's likely to bounce, or tether dom's likely to bounce from these levels. And that means Bitcoin's going to top out and start dropping. So that's kind of how I'm playing it. Like this singular chart right here, it gives you a really good feel for the market, because you can understand, like, hey, the closer I get to here, the more cautious I need to be. The closer we are to the top, likely, because I know tether dom is very freaking likely it's going to be bouncing from these levels if it gets there. And then, the closer you are, the more careful you got to be. So that's one way I look at it. Another way I look at this, and see, this gives you so much more of an edge in your meme coins, because you can kind of objectively see when is going to be the ideal time to be taking profits, and when are you going to be closer to actual euphoria. Because some bum today on Twitter could be like, the market is euphoric, but he's not looking at these charts to actually understand what actual euphoria is. And you can see what actual euphoria is in the chart. So for example, right, when Bitcoin dominance reaches these levels right here around 38-40%, right, that is when your altcoins are going to peak out. Right? They're going to peak down here when Bitcoin dominance is at its lowest, right? Because think about that. Right now, 55% of all the money in crypto is in Bitcoin. So if we come down here and now 38% of all the money is in Bitcoin, right? Based on the last almost 10 years, right, when Bitcoin dominance reaches these levels, that's the top for altcoins. That is when money starts to favor Bitcoin over the altcoins. And that just makes sense because, there's times where, Bitcoin's going to be favored. There's times where altcoins are going to be favored. And then there's these percentages where, hey, this is overextended. This is,
Sure.
undervalued. And it's like, there's those ratios where, okay, at this ratio, at 38%, that's kind of where Bitcoin is, undervalued in relation to its altcoin pairs, and so it's like, hey, the closer we get to these historical levels that Bitcoin dominance loves to bounce from, that's when I want to be what? Bearish on my altcoins and favoring stable coins or Bitcoin, right? So it's like, I know the closer we get to the more I want to be locking in profits. And I see how far we are from those levels. And that's why I can chill out on my positions. That's why I can sit here and be up from 15K to 3.6 million. And I'm chilling, bro, because I know how far we are from the actual euphoric levels in this market, because euphoria in the market happens when Bitcoin dominance comes down to these levels,
Right.
So
Right.
these two charts alone give me a huge advantage where I don't have to now sit here and panic over, oh, what is my P&L? Oh no, it's down from 6.4 million to 3.6 million. Dude, you're going to have to stomach some swings on the way to these positions paying off massively. There's no position ever like, okay, even if you bought Bitcoin, let's say you had a $5 million position of Bitcoin at $800, it dips to $300. Now your position's only worth, 5 million down to 2 million. Okay, and now if you would have held your Bitcoin from $400 back to 69,000, how much is that worth now? Like 300 million plus or
Sure.
something? So you're going to have to stomach swings as part of the game. Ultimately, where do you believe things are headed?
Sure. Sure. Sure.
Ultimately, how is it going to play out, And if you can get the long-term picture and you can understand the long-term levels, then that is when, you can have confidence in your positions. And so, yeah, anyone who's just going on Dex tools and just blindly looking at these pairs, they don't actually have a long-term view of how things are likely, to play out, because a longer time frame is far more reliable than a you know a short-term time frame. In the short term, anyone can dump price. A Chinese guy who bought $1 million in a Brett, dude, tomorrow he may have to, I don't know, buy a new car, and then he may have gotten into some legal trouble and he owes like 500K. And so he's gonna be like, well, shit, let me sell 500,000 of my Brett today. And that can cause some short-term price movement that looks negative. And then guess what? If you don't have a focus on the big picture, you're going to be like, well, I'm selling because it looks bearish. But once again, like, focus on the bigger picture and you're going to have a way better chance to actually make real money.
I want to get your take. I know that especially in the meme coin side of things, I imagine there's quite a few traders that are almost religious to just sticking with meme coins and not bouncing back and forth. But I like the holistic approach. All right, what I want to do before we wrap up here, because I want to get kind of some alpha going forward, how you're thinking about the rest of the bull market. It's clear that you're definitely bullish on base chain, and we're both in agreement that the longer the bull market goes, whether it's layer ones, whether it's DeFi, whatever the theme is, whatever the narrative is, the later you go in the bull market, the category leaders start to take more of that attention, right? Not saying there can't be new memes that pop up, not saying there's not going to be new winners that come out of nowhere, but the attention, the money kind of consolidates a little bit. Keeping that in mind, what else are you focused on outside of Brett? And this can be chain wise, this can be theme wise, it could be groups of meme coins, kind of leaving it open for you. But like, what are some areas that you think people aren't paying enough attention to, or that you're super focused on, and areas that you're avoiding just for the rest of the year, the rest of the bull market, how you're thinking about that?
So outside of base, I'm really bullish on Telegram's blockchain.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's it's the same concept as Brett, right? If I'm bullish on this blockchain, then what? I expect their number one meme coin on their blockchain to do incredibly well and actually outperform the chain, just like we saw with Dog with Hat, Shiba
Right.
Inu, and now Brett. And so it's same thing, same principles apply to Ton, and that coin is resistance dog, right? So once again, it's like 0.4% the market cap of its actual blockchain. So if that goes up to over 5%, and I'm looking at a Ton right now and it's at 22 billion. I'm like, well, that's probably going to hit 100 billion plus market cap with ease, in my opinion. So take greater than 5% of that, and you have potential upside to a 5 billion plus market cap here on the number one meme on Telegram's blockchain. Right. And so that's like over 100x plus potential from the point that we're looking at it right now. It doesn't even need to do 100x, dude. I think we'd all be happy with a 20x, right? Like, 20% as of that target. And it's like you're killing it.
Yeah.
And so that's another thing I look at. And then, another thing is, like, because obviously meme coins are going to be my bread and butter this cycle. Like, I really think I got a good grip on this. And so, you got to look at these memes, and let's say like XRP launched a meme coin on their blockchain.
XRP is a meme coin, the dinosaur meme coin.
Yeah, I mean, I don't see, like, I think Telegram destroy XRP in performance.
Of course.
Right. So as a result, I think their number one meme would destroy any number one meme that could ever be on XRP. If you can even launch memes on XRP, I think you can now. I'm not sure though. Same thing with like Cardano or Avalanche or Polkadot. And like these other chains. It's like, I'm going to pick the chain that I think objectively has the most upside and the most potential to onboard those users, because users equal money. And so to me, the way I see it this cycle, when I look at all these chains, I'm like, well, Telegram, they have 900 million daily, monthly active users. So if they onboard, 1% of that, that's 9 million. 2%, 18 million. It's like Telegram has the chance to onboard so many people into their blockchain. Right. Coinbase, they already have an active, 100 million plus users on their exchange. So I love Telegram and Coinbase for those reasons, that they already have a massive user base to tap into and onboard into their blockchains, which equals money flow. But when you look at something like Cardano, there is no user base there, right? There is no already like a Coinbase app, or there is not like a Telegram app, you know what I mean? So they have a harder path to gaining those users and that new money flow. So that's why, for me, the clearest bets of this entire cycle are Telegram's blockchain and Base. And then obviously you bet on the number one meme coins on those blockchains to get a leverage bet on those blockchains, like we've always seen. The number one memes are acting as leverage bets on those chains, you know?
Crash, what I want to do before we wrap up, because it's late here, and I appreciate you getting on this. It's going to be a big episode, especially as the market flips bullish again. People are excited about the ETH ETF. You have some bullish animal spirits coming back on. Anyone who was bearish memes is already starting to backtrack on Twitter. It's been fun to watch. What I want to do is almost like a fun, not really a prediction. You don't have to sweat. I'm not going to ask you to like pick what's going to be the next 100x coin or anything. But I've seen you do this analysis before where you kind of talk about some of the category leaders to kind of bring this full circle. If you go back to CoinMarketCap or CoinGecko that you just had up, right? If you look at right now, we have a group of, the top 5 memes, let's call them. You have Doge, you have Shib, you have Dog with Hat, you have things like that. If you were to put, what those top memes are, top 3, top 4 memes, which one of those top memes do you think won't be on that list, will be much smaller by the end of this bull market? And then what's 1 or 2 coins that you think have serious potential to be right up there? Meme number 1, 2, or 3. So like, what's a top meme that shouldn't be, or what's something that's on the rise that will be solidified as this is a top meme? This is kind of what I want to wrap on. It'll give some people some ideas to think on. No sweat, not asking you to predict, but I want to hear your thought process, how you think through it.
For sure. So I'll walk you through one of my thought processes, which is that Floki, right? It's the number 3 meme on Ethereum.
Right.
Brett is the number 1 meme on Base. So what do you think would be a higher market cap? Number 1 meme coin on Base or the number 3 meme on Ethereum? To me, I go number 1 meme on Base should be a higher market cap. So I think Brett will flip Floki with ease. Think about Floki. Like, does it have 100 million plus users coming to its chain, like in the way that Base does? Does it have a potential Base airdrop? Does it, being the number 1 meme on Base has so many unique points that no other meme coin will ever have. So I think it's a no-brainer that number 3 meme on Base flips the number 3 meme on ETH. Anyways, that takes Brett up there into the top 5. Now you're looking at Doge, Shib, Pepe, Dog with Hat,
right,
Brett. And so then I think Pepe is going to flip Shiba Inu, right?
Okay.
And the cool thing about part of the psychology here too is that, Shib has a lot of bag holders. It has a lot of people who are underwater and losing money from last cycle. And so as price recovers, a lot of these people, they're going to be like, oh my God, I remember when I put $1,000 and, it was only 100 and now it's back up to 1,000. Let me get out my money again, right? So that's a difference between old coins and new coins is these old coins have bag holders. Whereas Pepe right now, bro, everyone is in profit on Pepe basically.
Everyone loves it.
At the all-time high.
Everyone loves Pepe.
Yeah. So that's a huge difference, and why, something like Pepe is going to be a lot more bullish than cycle, in my opinion, right? It's because every person in Pepe, you're in profit, besides like the last few top buyers right now. So the psychology there is a lot easier. People feel a lot better. Sure. And you don't have all these old bozos from like 2 or 3 years ago who are like, oh my God, my 1,000 is back to 1,000. Let me get my money back out. I can't believe it. So for that reason, and other reasons, I think you're going to see Pepe with ease will flip Shib, and that's only like a 3-4x away. And then, so you're going to have Doge at number 1. Okay. You're going to have Pepe at number 2. And then you'll have Shib at number 3. And I think you're going to have Brett at number 4. And it's actually, I think, can flip Dog with Hat. Or maybe it doesn't flip Dog with Hat. But basically, the reason I say that is because I think the competition on Solana is higher. Right. I think there's an incredible amount of dilution on that chain. And also, looking at right down here, Ponky, I think this is a meme that has the chance to become the actual number 1 meme on this blockchain. And I've thought that for a long time. And it's a decent distance. It's a decent gap right now, right? 2.8 billion. And then you're looking at Ponky, 186 million. So huge. That's a very hot take. That's a massive, kind of bold thing that, the probabilities are not in my favor to be correct on that. But if I'm right now, you have Dog with Hat, you have Bonk, and you have Ponky, which are all fighting for that number 1 meme coin on Solana spot. Think about Brett, it's not fighting with anyone. Resistance Dog on Telegram, it's not fighting with anyone.
Yep,
Like there's
yep.
no competition on this chain. So that's like kind of a thing about Solana, which can kind of prevent it, the top meme on Solana from going to like 40 billion plus or 20 billion plus. It's just because it's a pretty tight race on Solana between the top three there, right?
Right.
So that obviously gives some other memes like Brett or Resistance Dog an edge there. So anyways, I think Brett, you see, jumps up to there. And then, you know, I think those are your top four, honestly, this cycle. So
I like it. I like it. I like it. I like the thought process. One person I know that isn't going to like that is Ansem. So if someone's watching right now, clip this, send it to Ansem. Ansem, I want to hear your thoughts, brother. Let us know why Crash is wrong. I appreciate both of your guys' takes. That's what makes the market. So it makes it interesting. Crash, thanks so much for coming on, dude. I've wanted to do this for forever. I'm probably one of the few people in crypto. It's like NFTs, meme coins. It's just not my game. I'm one of the few people that didn't make millions trading meme coins. It's like, it's sad to say. It's just not my game. So I love getting to hear from you guys like you who like live this world and hear your story. I know it's going to help a ton of people. And yeah, dude.
Well, thank you for having me, bro. I hope, you know, people can watch this for, you know, months to come. Cause I think we're early on in the meme coin, bubble. Dude, there's going to be a massive bubble, I think. You know, like last cycle, obviously Doge hit 80 billion, SHIB hit 40 billion. Dude, like this is going to be, dude, remember last cycle when Doge hit like 80 billion, SHIB hit 40 billion? Like that was already mind blowing. I was like looking at those numbers. I'm like, oh my God, like this is stupid. Like this is insane. And I think it's going to be even more insane this time around. So man, there's just ridiculous upside, and hopefully, you know, people will look back on this, this video that, you know, you put together and be like, damn, that was crazy. That was like Bitcoin at $1,500 there, and these guys just like freaking talked about the future, and look at it all came true. I think that's what's gonna happen. I can't wait. So.
I hope so. If that happens, I think yeah, I'll meet you for a beer somewhere. I think we'll be celebrating. I think we'll both be in a pretty good spot if that happens. Crash, appreciate you coming on, dude. One of the most entertaining, insightful new accounts I followed this year. If you guys are listening, you want to keep up with Crash, his info is down below. If you're watching on YouTube, hit the link right down below. Seriously, tune into his stuff. Appreciate you coming on, brother. We'll chat soon.
Thank you, man.